What is up, bros? Josh here. Today's video is all about the Tier 9 Premium Russian Destroyer. Now, first of all, I will slaughter this ship's name. I'm going to call it the News for short, Neustrashmy. I'm just going to call it the News for short, so going forward, when I say news, you know I'm talking about this ship, because I don't want to get everyone mad at me in the comments for continuously slaughtering this name. But this ship is the Tier 9 Premium Russian Destroyer, currently work in progress, and no, we do not know how it will be given out, whether free XP, doubloons, coal, steel, we do not know. So before the comments get filled with that, we have no idea, but still work in progress, so stats are subject to change, although I think what we see right here is kind of what we'll end up seeing. Let's dive into some stats, and we'll show some gameplay as well for this preview of this Tier 9 Russian Destroyer. 23,650 life. That's actually quite nice. Let's go over the captain really quick so you can just show the stats of what you're going to see. So priority target, last stand, survivability expert. So the life you're seeing is with Tier 9 survivability expert, concealment, running radio location, as well as superintendent. Modules right here too. Lots of toys. So this is another ship you're going to be running and looking down at your keyboard. You'll see me, I think, fat finger a bunch of stuff during the game. It is pretty tough. I wish you could maybe change up your key to your keys in the game. That'd be kind of nice. But lots of consumables. So you will have smoke. That's your only choice there. You will have AA, so obviously running premium. It does have a heal, so it has a very big effective health pool, which is kind of nice. And it will have that Russian speed upgrades as well. Pretty normal for a high tier ship. Torpedo mod 3. Concealment, obviously your destroyer. Steering gears mod 2. We're running aiming system mod 1. I guess you could run AA if you wanted to. Maybe if you're running with the CV. Kind of run that troll Grozovoi build. Propulsion, obviously engine boost would be a better choice if you have them, because it is a Russian DD again, and main armament mod 1. So let's look at the stats. Now, first of all, Tier 9 is a very, very stacked tier. Arguably one of the most stacked tiers. Maybe Tier 8 puts it at some competition. Tier 6 is getting very filled with good ships now. But Tier 9, known for having solid ships, also solid premium ships with the USS Black. With the addition to the Jutland 2 and the Kitakaze, this is a nasty, nasty tier. So bringing in a new premium ship, you need to have something that set it apart, and I think that's what the news is kind of missing with a lot of the other ships. Really, to me, it's a buffed Ognivoy. So Ognivoy, the Tier 8 on the line. This seems like a more fluid. If you look at the tech tree on the Russian side, this seems more like a fluid Tier 9 ship, in my opinion, going from the Ognivoy to the News. The Udaloy, I think, in my opinion, would have made a better premium, because the Udaloy doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. The Ognivoy to the News to the Grozovoi is like a perfect transition. It makes perfect sense if you just look at what it has. The Udaloy itself is like this weird, I don't know, this weird ship kind of just like thrown in there. It doesn't have like a fluid thing. So one of the tinfoil hats here, one of the always theories of this ship is this gets switched in as the tech tree ship, and the Udaloy gets switched out. Obviously, they're probably not going to do that, but that was always my thought, because this makes perfect sense. Anyways, let's dive into the ship so this video isn't too long. Hit points, 22,650 again with survivability expert. That's actually pretty solid. Again, you will have the extra heal, comparing it to like the Z46. You have a little bit more than that, but you are the Russian line. Again, Udaloy too, 21,000, and the Tashkent with obviously the heal, 21,000. So a decent health pool, again, with 3 heals with the superintendent and boosted premium. So main battery, 2 sets of 2, so more like the Ognivoy at Tier 8. 4-second reload though, and they are Russian, so the trajectory is really low. Velocity at 950 meters per second. 8% fire chance, that's without demo expert or the flags. So you could actually boost it up to just about 12%. 12.8 kilometer range, which is decent. You will be using your guns a decent amount. Again, this is, I would say, it's been called the jack of all trades ship. 2 sets of 5 on torps with 111 seconds, so almost 2 minutes there. That is with the improved torp reload with the torp module. 10-kilometer range, pretty normal for what we've seen so far, especially going from the Ognivoy at Tier 8 to kind of this ship, and 65 knots. AA defense is decent. Again, we don't really have any skills into it, so that's just a standard at a rating of 38, which is actually quite nice. And the range is at 5.2. Again, you could boost this out to even more than that with both AFT and the module. So you could actually be a nice little anti-AA ship. Maximum speed, 36 knots, decent. And the detectability, which is the shining star, 5.6 kilometer. Again, tier 9 is a stack tier for destroyers, and really when they add a new DD in, you're looking for something different. I think the Kitakaze, whether it's how much it does, I think the Kitakaze is a little too strong, but it brought something new. The Jutland brought something new. The news, we'll kind of see. But anyways, let's dive into some game footage. You can see how strong this ship can actually be, but kind of also what it kind of lacks at the same time. So here we are in game with the news, and as you can see, look at all those consumables. It is definitely one of those ships that you're going to need to look down at your keyboard when you're going, because when you're going using WASDA and having to go I and you accidentally hit U and all that kind of stuff, it's definitely one that you're going to have to kind of look down and then make sure you're not clicking on the wrong thing, especially if there is a CV game. You want to keep that A consumable. So looking down at the team, 3 destroyers on each team, me being one of them, and if you check out what they actually have, we have 2 Shimas. They have well, we have the news, which I'm in, and they have a Gearing, Z, and Kitakaze. Now that Kitakaze, I think, just beats me straight up, because what this ship is, and it's getting called like the jack of all trades, and that's something that's kind of interesting to me, and I think one of its biggest downsides is, and you'll see us do actually pretty good, and yes, person in chat, we are making the video right now. There's a lot of situations where you just kind of wish you were in other destroyers. Now, we'll have a pretty solid start to this game. We'll just kind of roll over a bunch of ships and you'll see it. But you'll see what I do and you'll think, well, I could have basically done that with the Fletcher. And I could have done that with the Z. And I could have done that with insert the Chung Mu. And I could, you could have done that with kind of every other tier 9 destroyer that's relatively stealthy. It's not like this ship really brought anything extra to the table. The one thing it does bring, though, I guess the one upside of this ship is that it has a massive health pool. It already over 23,000 with 3 heals, with a flag, with the it's a big health pool. That's what it does have. And I think if you change, and that's why I think if you change too much, this thing could be borderline overpowered. You change the reload to maybe being faster, you give it faster torps. I think it has just this Terminator style of just surviving kind of everything and then continuing to be decent. And so you have to be careful with buffing this kind of ship, but are we okay with just this ship that's kind of all right at everything? It's not really bad at anything. It's just not really great at anything either. So that's one thing that I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted with this ship, because especially with tier 9, you have destroyers that are so good. You have the Kitakaze, which is just a fast firing monster. You have the Fletcher, which is just perfectly balanced. It's stealthy, it has good guns, it has good torps, fast torps, reloading torps, it has AA, it's really good. Then you have stuff like the Chung Mu with its deep water torps and still high DPM. You have the Z, which has that German Hydra, which is so good. And even the Russian destroyers with the Tashkent and the Udaloy, which bring their own kind of different play styles. I would consider them more almost like cruiser style, but for just the other destroyers, and then there's poor Yuguma that's a torpo. This just kind of brings, well, I can kind of do all of that while having a lot of life doing it. So, I mean, maybe we're okay with it. Maybe we're okay with just having this ship that's, all right, well, it's not special in any way, but it's going to do everything decent, and I can kind of be good at anything, and that's what I want. I just want to be, I just want to get B's on everything. I don't want to have an A on anything, and maybe like, have an A on a couple courses. I just want to be decent. C+, B- on everything, and then you're just good to go. There's no real weak part to it. If you get to a Chung Mu, and there's a lot of the Chung Mu, and there's a lot of other destroyers, you're kind of weak because your guns are good and you have fast smoke, but you don't have the normal torps, so the deep water torps are kind of, weaker that way. This brings fast firing, 4 shells at a time, big health pool, decent torps. It's all right in every situation, so maybe that's okay. Again, we don't know how this is going to be sold. We don't know if it's going to be free XP. We don't know if it's going to be coal. We don't know if it's going to be steel. We don't know if it will just be doubloons. We just don't know. Now, the pattern of tier 9 premiums has been, look at the Musashi, the Missouri, the Kronstadt is free XP. If you've ever heard me talk about free XP ships, as our team continues just to lose all of our ships, if you've ever heard me talk about free XP ships, I find them to be, I think going forward, I think the ships will continue, free XP ships will continue to be less and less. And what I mean by that is, I feel like that currency, that's a whole nother video, but I feel like that currency has really lost a lot of its value. So for ships, if you look at the history of World of Warships, it makes sense for it to be a free XP ship, but in reality, I don't see too many ships going forward being free XP. There's a nice little kill on a gearing, so it has the torps, so there you go. But I mean, is that something that the Fletcher or the Z46 could have done? And we continue to lose ships. There you go. That's the pattern of this game. It's me and the Shima working together, trying to kill this whole team, and then our team just dying. If you look at the ship split here, it was 4 of us versus 6 of them on this side. Technically 7 if you include the Charles. So we had 8 ships on the Sea Cap, 8 ships, and against 5, and now they are losing that fight, so that's a bummer. So not much you can really do. But again, the ship brings a couple pluses. A couple pluses, and I think most of this is just pushes, if you want to use those kind of terms. The pluses are big health pool, low detection. The pushes are just decent guns, decent torps, decent AA, and there you go. You're kind of good no matter what. There, we'll take the first 2 kills, 2 DD kills, which is amazing, and we can kind of just farm some battleships over here, because there's 2 North Carolinas and a Republic, so we'll take that. As I say, now we farm. So I was hoping that our team would get maybe a couple of kills on that side, and we would get a couple, you know, kind of clean up these battleships, and then we'd be good to go. But fool me once for trusting my team. Didn't quite happen. But anyways, you can kind of see the utility of this ship, but honestly, I would have much rather been like a Z46. Z46 at tier 9 is fantastic. You know, the USS Black having its radar and its slow pedos and just having the smoke. You know, I think I probably could have done the same thing with that ship, and even we would have got that kill a little bit earlier on that destroyer, like gearing and smoke. Fletcher, I feel like the Fletcher, I would have just been having more torps out compared to this because it has just a faster torp reload. Changmu, I think I would have probably gotten more hits on these battleships and we would have got through that. So I'm conflicted with this ship. To me, when going through new ships, I want something unique. I don't want something that's just all right. But maybe we just are okay with having. And I'm kind of interested in what you guys think. Is it all right to just have a decent ship? Like, is that all right? You know, I'm honestly interested. To me, I'm conflicted because I want something different, especially if it's something tier 9. That's going to be a big investment, whether it be free XP or coal or doubloons or whatever. It's going to be a big investment time-wise if it's coal or free XP, and a big investment money-wise if it ends up being doubloons or purchasable. So a big investment to get something that doesn't bring much uniqueness is almost like kind of a hard sell. But anyways, I digress. I don't want to keep repeating that over and over. But the key to this ship is you'll be using everything. You'll be using all of your tools to be effective. You'll be using your guns. You'll be using your torps. You'll be using your AA, your speed boost, your low detection, and your health pool. That's one thing too. You can split up and actually use the Russian within it. To me, it seems like a Russian and an IGN destroyer kind of made a baby, and this is what we have. That weird Ognavoy, because the Ognavoy doesn't match anything on the line. It just is this random destroyer. And as you saw that split second, I was checking out what my firing and smoke range was, because you always want to know that. You always want to know your firing in range. So if you control and highlight over your ship, we can't do it on the replay, but it'll show your firing and smoke penalties. So right now, we're just buying a little bit of time here, and then you'll see us 360 no scope the Republic for all of his life. But yeah, this is a ship. If it is a jack of all trades, a Swiss Army knife, whatever you want to call it, you'll be using everything to get the victory. There's not one thing you'll be doing. You know, an IGN destroyer, you're not going to be kind of stuck using purely, you know, purely your torps really to do everything, or the other Russian units to purely farm with guns. yes, we do have the only 3 kills on our team. So there's not much we can really do. But our team's starting to get some kills, so that's good. And it's kind of sad to look over there and just kind of see everyone basically dead. You'll see our Montana, which I said in chat, I was like, if our Montana can do it, if he can start getting some frags and getting maybe that North Carolina or that Charles or something like that, we can come back. But you'll see him go nice and broadside. Again, a super strength right here. Just having that low detection is fantastic. But what do I think they should change on this? The question is, do they really even need to change anything? I could see them releasing the ship like this and it being all right for some people. Will I play it that much? No. I don't see really a reason to play this over the Fletcher. I don't really see a reason to play it over the Z46 if I want to do more damage. To me, the Fletcher is like the perfect hybrid destroyer. Low detection, you know, again, I've already talked about low detection, good torps, and it has that AA consumable. The AA consumable on destroyers is so clutch, especially after the rework comes. You're going to want DDs that have the AA consumable. So to me, that ship is still fantastic, as well as it's a perfect div ship. This might actually be a bit more of a good if you are a solo player. I just kind of thought about that. This might be like a fantastic solo ship because you can kind of just take care of yourself no matter what with that health pool. And the rest of this game is a little bit depressing. We get into a situation, and as you see, our Montana went from full life and from full life to basically no life. We were hoping that his survivability expert would help him a little bit. But yeah, again, it is what it is. Nothing like a 99,000 life Montana. But yeah, you'll use everything on this ship. But for me, will I play it? Probably not. I would recommend this for somebody who just kind of wants to have a little bit of everything and not too invested in one thing, because I think that's what it really brings to the table. If I could change anything, I don't know if I would. That brings up the point again of if you really buff this too much, like you make its torps too fast, then it becomes too strong. And if you make its guns hit harder or something, I don't even know, then it again comes too strong. Again, it's another tough day for IGN destroyers because you have another ship, especially at tier 9, that is at or near your detection that can basically outgun you. So it feels bad for you Yumo players at tier 9 especially, because you have a ship that is basically just going to still wreck your face and there's not much you can do. The power creep on the poor IGN DDs has been so bad recently, with everything continuing to get stealthier and stealthier. Gun for gun, I still think you lose the fight to Kitakazes and some other ones. Best part about this ship is that you can disengage, and this is where I thought we were going to come back actually. We're down big. What are we down? We're down 3 ships right now, but you'll see it really swing really quickly. Problem is this hipper's pushing, but he did rep instantly, and so I was thinking, hey, this is going to be perfect. Charles Martel, I can gun him down, no big deal. And if our Shima can spot, we're going to be good. And I look over, and the Kitakaze took a torp, ended up rolling super low, which kind of sucked. Just 9,300, but then our Shima dies, no, and that's basically the GG right there. But if me and the Shima would have been full life, and we would have had a little bit more time, I think we may have been able to bring this back. But overall, you can't have a team with a bunch of ships with like a 2-to-1 advantage on one end of the team, just throwaway ships. But a nice little game though. This was the best game we had, and again, I kind of played it. People in stream even asked me if I was going to play it more, and I just kind of declined because I didn't really find the ship extremely fun. This was by far our best team and our best game in it, and thought it would be fun to kind of show you guys off. Our team sadly goes out and loses it. 4 kills, 137,000 damage, base cap, bunch of torpits. Again, it's gonna be a good mix on this ship. Torpits and main battery hits, and from there, I think so. The ship is still work in progress, so stats are subject to change. And I'm really interested to see what happens with the ship. I would not be surprised if nothing changes on this. If what you see is what ends up coming out, that wouldn't shock me. If we see a little bit of change here and there, that wouldn't shock me either. But this one it kind of confuses me. I think we might just see what we have here. But anyways, again, stats are subject to change because it is work in progress. And again, I have no idea how this will be released, if it's through coal, free XP, steel, doubloons. I could see it being something like the Jean Bart, Musashi, Jean Bart, and something else was at tier 9, I think, where you could have purchased it for free. Jean Bart and something else. Where maybe they offer a purchasable way of getting the ship and then have it just being sold for coal. I think that's maybe a pattern Wargaming might do going forward. A small window to purchase it with actual money, and then probably being sold by coal. That's my guess. It's not what they're going to do. So I would look for Wargaming to announce this ship, and I think what we'll see finalize is something that's relatively close to this. But anyways, guys, an interesting tier 9 Russian DD for sure. The tier 9 the news, I'm gonna call it that because I don't want to slaughter the name over and over and people get mad at me in chat. But yeah, that's it for me, dudes. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.